Welcome to Railfans Canada. Today, we're talking about something that affects millions of Canadians every single day, public transit funding. Earlier this week, the Canadian Urban Transit Association held a press conference on Parliament Hill, calling on the federal government to commit to long-term, stable funding for transit systems across the country. The message was clear. Without sustained investment, expansion and modernization projects will stall, and the systems we rely on could face serious cutbacks and maintenance issues. I'll play you the full press conference now. It runs under just 9 minutes, and then I'll be back with some commentary and a look at how funding challenges are already affecting cities like Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Marco D'Angelo, President and CEO of the Canadian Urban Transit Association. Joining me today is the Chair of CUTA's board, Dave Regie. We're here, we have a full day of meetings on Parliament Hill. We've got folks from transit agencies from every part of the country, as well as the business sector that supports them. We'll be speaking today with members of Parliament, other elected officials, the senior civil service as well, to talk about one clear and urgent priority: sustained and expanded federal funding for public transit. So what brings us all here today? Transit and Canada are at a pivotal moment. Political shifts, supply chain disruptions, and rising costs have underscored one simple truth: that transit isn't just a service, but it is nation-building infrastructure. Like the railways and highways that connected earlier generations, today's transit systems connect the next generation of housing and jobs and economic opportunity. They're essential to making growth sustainable, ensuring affordability and fairness for families, while building a competitive Canadian economy. That's why transit must be central to Canada's broader nation-building agenda, alongside some of the projects that have already been announced by Prime Minister Mark Carney as he's launched the Major Projects Office. And that's why we're here today to call on the federal government to ensure that the Canada Public Transit Fund, launching in 2026, is designed and funded so that it can succeed. The Canadian Public Transit Fund is set to provide $3 billion every year in stable and predictable funding to modernize transit systems across our country, to help people to reach jobs, to reach housing and essential services, while bolstering the economy in our cities and towns. And to help people reach jobs, we need to have an effective, reliable transit service. And this program, the CPTF, is designed to do just that. It's designed to be transformative. But the way that it's structured risks slowing down the very instruments that Canadians urgently need. So these are investments that are needed. There's a large infrastructure debt that's accumulated in public transit, but we see optimism in terms of how the CPTF can help to address those gaps. Right now, the fund has several streams, including a smaller baseline stream that will be available but offers fewer dollars, and a much larger metro region stream that will be tied up in complicated government requirement and red tape. The structure could delay the launch of these critical infrastructure projects and limit how much we can get built right away next year in 2026. This is at a time when transit systems are already stretched to the breaking point. Across our country, we know that the fleet, the average age of a bus, is rapidly aging. In 2019, the average age of a vehicle was 8.3 years, and now sits at 9.5 years, meaning there's also vehicles on the road, too many of them, that are 15 years old, that are over 20 years old, and those have costs that are associated with having a fleet that's aging when it could be refreshed with a new, more reliable bus. At the same time, we know that $9.5 billion worth of transit assets are already rated to be in poor condition and require up to $20 billion in capital just to restore those. And this is really where it's essential that that fund for Canadian public transit launches on time on April 1, 2026. So today, As we meet parliamentarians, we're bringing forward a clear set of solutions. We have practical steps to make this fund work for Canadians, and to walk you through those, I'd like to turn it over to the chair of CUTA's board, Dave Riggi.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning. I'm Dave Riggi, Chair of CUTA and Executive Director of Strategic Infrastructure and Transportation Planning with the Halifax Regional Municipality. As Marco said, the challenges facing our systems are real, but they are solvable if we act now. We are asking the federal government to strengthen the Canada Public Transit Fund in 4 key ways. First, we are asking to double the baseline funding stream from $500 million to $1 billion annually. This will allow agencies to meet the urgent needs of today's commuters and tomorrow's growth by getting funding out the door quickly to systems of all sizes with shovel-ready projects across the country. Second, we are asking the government to legislate the fund and include a 5% annual funding escalator. Construction and procurement costs are rising faster than inflation. The cost of a new bus has already increased by over 22% since 2020, and this escalator is needed to preserve the fund's value over time. Third, we are calling on the government to use the fund's targeted funding stream to help agencies rapidly renew their fleets with flexibility on propulsion type. Some systems are ready to adopt electric buses, while others must rely on hybrid and other propulsion types for now. New vehicles of any type reduce emissions compared to older ones and improve reliability, which cuts congestion and supports economic growth. And fourth, we need to make sure this fund works for all of Canada. That means cutting the red tape built into its current design, particularly in the Metro Region Agreement stream, which risks delaying funding for years. We are asking the federal government to simplify the process and expand eligibility so that smaller and rural systems, often the ones with the most severe mobility gaps, can access capital to grow their service. Without this flexibility, the fund risks benefiting only the largest cities while leaving many communities behind. Finally, we also need to keep people safe. That means protecting the frontline transit workers who keep our system running every day. We are asking for an amendment to the criminal code to strengthen penalties for assaults on transit workers and to expand the definition of operator to include all frontline staff, such as maintenance workers, fare inspectors, and station personnel. Every person who helps deliver transit service deserves to be safe on the job. Every dollar invested in public transit creates $2.40 in economic activity and adds $1 to Canada's GDP. Transit is how we will unlock housing supply, strengthen labor markets, reduce congestion, and cut emissions all at once. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to give Canadians the safe, reliable, and affordable public transit they deserve. The Canada Public Transit Fund must be built to meet the scale of this challenge. The time to act is now. Thank you.
So that was the Canadian Urban Transit Association's call to action. Well, what does this actually mean for people on the ground? Let's take a look at a few examples. In Ottawa, OC Transpo is already facing major budget shortfalls. The O train has been reduced from every 5 minutes to every 10 minutes during off-peak hours. That means longer waits, more crowded trains, and a higher chance of missing your bus connection, which can make trips exceedingly long and frustrating. In Montreal, the STM has seen significant maintenance challenges. The Saint-Michel metro station even had to close for a period of time due to crumbling concrete and structural issues. Some of the metro trains themselves are running with deferred maintenance because of limited funding. On top of that, there's constant talk of reduced service hours and lower frequency, which would make the system less reliable for riders. And in Toronto, the TTC has faced major funding gaps that are directly affecting subway maintenance. Over the past year, we've seen trains forced to run at a crawl speed in certain sections because of track and infrastructure issues. Critical maintenance keeps getting pushed back, but not only reduces service quality, but also makes problems more expensive to fix in the future. This isn't just about buses and trains. When transit is underfunded, it affects housing development, traffic congestion, affordability, and even job access. If your bus comes every 30 minutes instead of every 10, that's time out of your day. If your city cancels a planned transit expansion, that could mean fewer homes being built where they're most needed. But here's the thing, even if you don't personally take the train or bus, you still benefit from public transit. For drivers, transit takes thousands of cars off the road every day. That means less congestion, fewer traffic jams, and cleaner air. For homeowners, strong transit boosts property values and makes neighborhoods more livable. And for the economy as a whole, reliable transit systems move workers, students, and customers efficiently, which keeps businesses running and communities thriving. Transit is a nation-building infrastructure, and the stakes are high. So whether you ride transit every day, only occasionally, or not at all, you still benefit from a strong, well-funded transit system. That's why CUTA is calling on the federal government to commit to long-term, stable funding, because public transit doesn't just move people, it moves cities forward. So what do you think? Have you seen the impact of underfunded transit in your city as a rider or even a driver? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.